Welcome back to News Sources. Tonight we're asking you, should the ethics and anti-corruption, is the EACC rather a waste of taxpayers' money? We're sampling some of your tweets online. Being Charlie is saying EACC is useless as dead. Let me not continue, James.
Well, EACC can only do its work if there's goodwill. Otherwise, everyone doesn't want EACC to succeed. Ndega Sidakwa on Twitter.
There is Bernard Lewala who is saying yes, it's a total waste of funds, expenditures, but nothing to show for it. James.
Absolutely. Now, what next for the Justice Philip Tunoi Tribunal, or is it the former Justice Philip Tunoi? As it stands, Justice Philip Tunoi is no longer a judge, but the judge is facing a tribunal of some sort as a judge. So what next for the man who denies counting away Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero 200 million shillings?
If the tribunal is persuaded by the submissions that I have made this morning and holds and finds that it is no longer in a position to continue to proceed with the taking of evidence and the hearing of witnesses.
Because there is no subject.
Because it has been deprived of a subject by dint of the retirement of Mr. Justice Tunoi as a judge of the Supreme Court.
You cannot relate back and say, because you attained this age on this date, then you cease to be a judge. Because the High Court has said that is not the responsibility of individual judges. It's the responsibility of the judiciary to be issuing retirement notice on the judges.
Right, and joining us now is
Moses Mishira.
Very quickly, send yourself that. Does it mean something?
Well, I think it does, but I'll need to inquire. Yes.
So, yeah, let's talk about the difficulty that this tribunal is finding itself. Essentially, a tribunal is set up to investigate a judge. So we have a couple of issues here that the Supreme Court, thankfully, the last week when the CJ was leaving office, retired or decided that the judges, should have gone home and the Court of Appeal decision stays, as it were. But insists that come from a letter from the High Court that had instructed the judiciary to issue him with the retirement letter, and they didn't do so. He's still a judge. So the tribunal, in fact, does continue. What a mess.
It is a proper mess. I've never seen a bigger mess. But Justice Tunoi is an old man of his own kind. I wouldn't understand why he still wants to stay on, even after the Supreme Court has ruled that it cannot listen to his petition. So essentially, he's not a judge.
Well, it's not been issued by a retirement letter.
Well,
the High Court is actually, on technical, it's like he doesn't have a retirement. There's nothing that shows that he should retire.
So then what will happen if he was handed a retirement letter?
That's a story for another day.
Yeah. When it happens, we will discuss it. As of today, he says, guys, I don't have a retirement letter. I'm still a judge.
Let us be fair to this gentleman. In terms of our judicial system, generally speaking, you are innocent until you are proven guilty. So this gentleman needs to be taken through the actual process, a due process, until he's found to have actually received the 200 million at the end of the day. Probably he might. When he can still be investigated as a private citizen. He still receive the 200 million.
You are told because the tribunal was investigating if Tunoi as a judge received the 200 million, not as a private citizen. If it was a private citizen, the problem the CID would have taken.
I think James, the tribunal's terms of reference must change from tomorrow.
Yes.
This is a tribunal about Geoffrey Kiplagat. It's no longer a tribunal about the former judge.
No, it's not a former judge. It's not a former
Philip
judge.
Tunoi.
He says, and I quote, that, and because I followed the proceedings today, that the High Court issued very clear orders to the JSC and asked them to issue him with a retirement letter, because he's not contesting the retirement.
But James, the Court of Appeal,
right?
The Court of Appeal has sent him home at the age of 70. He's sitting there wasting taxpayers' money.
You see, then these things act on papers. You need to be, acted upon.
So smart. What comes first? If you go to go through a process like he's done, and the Court of Appeal has said, Chief, you have to go home. This is a fight
He's
that
not
you can-
contesting
is-
that.
Is
He's
that
not
not good
contesting
enough?
that.
So
He's not
it's just a
not
paper.
contesting that. He's
A
not
paper that
contesting
can
all
be
that.
done tomorrow.
As the Judicial Service
Does not issue
Commission
him, does not issue him with a retirement letter.
advertised
They've
vacancies?
advertised the position.
Yes, they have.
What
advertised
does
it.
that mean then?
In fact, for me, if you ask me, I've been retired by my employer and I've been told, come back next week for your letter. I am technically retired.
But you
Not
see,
when I receive that letter.
that is very well and fine, right? But this is a code. This is a code, a code that sits and act on papers and act on legal orders and act on the laws of the day. There is no letter that shows that Tunoi has been retired from the judiciary.
But
And
there's
on
a
that
ruling.
basis-
But
so
there's
that-
a ruling, James. There's a ruling
He's not fighting
saying
the ruling. Those are two things. Let's be clear. He's not saying that he's not supposed to be retired. In fact, he says that the High Court, in his submission today, the High Court asked the Judicial Service Commission to issue him with a retirement letter. His employer has not saw it fit to give him a retirement letter.
Well, perhaps a few more minutes.
As such, he's still a judge.
I mean, if he will have found something else, I'm sure he's just trying to find something else to hang on. If he had a letter from the JSC, probably he'll have something else to hang on. This gentleman should go home. I mean, he's feeling frustrated or something. He'll hang on to something
I think
else.
the former judge wants to clear his name. Let's allow him to clear his name. I think he stands a very good chance now as a private citizen to clear his name. And as I said, the terms of reference for this tribunal should change by yesterday and be called Geoffrey Kiplagat Tribunal, because he's the man on trial, not Justice Philip Tunoi. Okay, now is KANU throwing glances at the CORD coalition? The coalition nominated Helen Sambili to the IBC dialogue team, and this has raised eyebrows among political pundits. What is the oldest political party up to, and for who? What's going on, Sifuna?
I think KANU has been quietly looking at possibilities of still remaining relevant in this political setup. And you look at a situation whereby you are either in government or out of government. Now it's basically been playing the middle game. If you look at it, and it had been on record saying it does not support violence in terms of as a means of getting IBC.
Been on the streets. They've been on the streets.
They actually disowned their Secretary General when he was there last time. But now that it appears to be a formal dialogue process, then they are actually coming on board and saying we can actually do this to the full hog. So I think on one end you will be looking at, I mean, these people are not enemies. They will always work together. Look at all the people in court today. Most of them have either been in KANU or otherwise. Look at Kalonzo Musyoka. Raila Odinga himself has had a stint there. I mean, all these people have been in KANU. So they are actually at home.
They have been
Yeah.
when we were single party. Really?
What is KANU up to? What is
Well,
KANU up
I
to?
would think actually it's CORD that is eyeing KANU, because KANU is a beautiful girl, you know, because we only have two sides that are strong, and then KANU is coming in as the swing vote, if you may. So CORD as a coalition has lost considerable ground in the Rift Valley, and the only practical way of getting back there and probably getting a few votes or many votes will be through KANU. And I think looking at the leadership of Gideon Moi and Salat, Gideon Moi is from the upper Rift, and Salat is from the lower Rift. So I think they're actually trying to get inroads into the Rift Valley, which is obviously a very rich.
It sounds plausible, I think, that for KANU to gain some sort of foothold inside the Rift Valley themselves, they have to show that they are working for a bigger cause. Because there is William Ruto, who has his party, and he's taking to his people something that is, very tangible. We have the deputy president for the next 10 years, and after that, it's given to us. So for them to interrupt that discussion back there, KANU wants to show up and say, hang on, guys, we're also in a scheme of play with these other guys, and we don't have to wait for that long. It could happen sooner.
The biggest question is, what does KANU want then?
Remember, if you look at it properly, KANU is not in its interest to appear as if it's working with CORD, especially in the Rift Valley, as it is right now. We looked at what happened in the Kericho by-election. But on the other end, it's also good for you to look at it in terms of how do you make yourself relevant if you don't stand up to fight for something. That's why I agree with Moses here that, for CORD to be able to get through the Rift Valley vote right now, it needs KANU more than ever. So we've had what Isaac Ruto was doing, the Moment governor on the other side. We we saw what happened during the Kericho by-election. So this will be another avenue just to try and create some level of discomfort and test waters in the Rift Valley to see how far much they can be able to shake it and bring in a few votes. Yeah.
But the question is, how much is KANU, this thing you're talking about? It refused to die.
Well,
what is
KANU,
KANU?
I think KANU is
now
a
KANU
very
fresh.
no KANU is a very big party as is.
From
because well, ask anyone in any village, they will actually can identify, well, not anyone, but of some age at least, they can identify with KANU, because when we were growing up, it was KANU, and then the milk was always associated with KANU, and which is one reason I
It's a
love
brand.
them
That's a
very,
brand.
very much.
That's a brand.
Yes,
Yes,
but
party and
it
the
is going to be
structure.
very hard to kill that brand. It's pretty much like one of the supermarkets, It is a very strong brand, but on the ground, not
Yeah.
much really is there.
But they had a very good showing in Kericho, so you can say.
Well, and actually, they have claimed they won that election. Give it to them. They may have won. I don't know. So KANU still.
I wouldn't think that KANU is a strong party, not anywhere in this country. KANU is not a strong party. It's just that it used to be a strong party. You need to differentiate that. Right now, I don't know where you'll stand on a KANU ticket and be elected.
Someone did in
no.
Kericho.
I mean, I'm telling you,
50,000 plus votes.
and that was not really okay, and that is Rift Valley. I mean, that is home. If Musalia Mudavadi went back with this, what is this party in
Amani,
Sabati,
Amani,
yeah,
something.
he may get some
Yes.
votes. I mean, it's Nini. I mean, Coast, Joho and team have had their own party down there. You might see.
No, I think it's just
winning
because we don't have the
some
benefits
seats,
of
but-
statistics
yeah,
countrywide, but
yeah.
I can tell you for sure, KANU has at least an MCA somewhere in Mombasa, Malindi, and Busia.
Hang on to that
Yes.
thought, because Ethiopian Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn is in the country. The Premier is not here to tell off the ICC, just like President Museveni has been doing, that to sign the new business deals with the Jubilee government. Museveni was our guy, so to say, until he opted out of an oil deal we so badly wanted. So is Ethiopia the new girl in town, Dennis?
It's interesting times for the Jubilee government. Remember, this is a deal they were supposed to sign with the Museveni side, but a team of experts doing a feasibility study, if I'm not wrong, came back with a report saying this is not viable, but all along they were led to believe so. And Jubilee is slowly losing out in its grip, as it were, in the East African region. And Museveni is looking the other way. Magufuli is shy. Rwanda is rethinking its relations with Kenya now. I mean, what a time to...
Yes,
Mishira.
Mishira.
Well, I just wanted to take on you on Rwanda, thinking, it's actually not thinking twice. Rwanda is a very small economy. There's no way it was going to work with us, jump Kampala, that is Uganda, and then come and we collaborate with them on any project. Really, that's not practical. It's off the table. For as long as we have lost Uganda, then we've lost Burundi, we've lost South Sudan perhaps, because they have, or the three countries have a better deal going through Tanzania. Now, Tanzania doesn't have as many issues as we do. Now, what is it for Ethiopia, now to address the issue of Ethiopia? Ethiopia is a very big country by population. It is a country that anyone from the outside would want to look into, because you're talking about 100 million people. Now, for any manufacturer, for any business, the first attraction, the first incentive is the market. Who are you going to sell to? Now, when Kenya is losing out on the other friends, our more natural friends, and then South Sudan is limping.
It's playing hard to catch.
No, it's actually limping because it doesn't have the money and it doesn't have
And
much of
remember,
the
we are
resources.
accusing it of sponsoring a coup.
That's a very serious allegation. That's a very serious allegation. But anyway,
Mishira,
Yes.
the problem with Ethiopia is that it's 100 million market that is
Yes.
very closed.
It is
Right?
very closed,
A
yes.
1% internet penetration.
Right.
It basically, the only market, the only people who have access to that market is the government.
well, I think that's an exaggeration because I've been in Addis and there was fairly good internet in
I was there.
most of the places.
I was there too. You
Right.
can't send SMSs. When I was there,
Well,
I sent text
maybe it
messages.
depends on the phone you're using.
Do you have a network?
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Well, I get it. I get it.
Let me
But
give you a practical
the truth
example.
is-
A practical
yes.
example. When Obama was here,
Yes.
his name is the global brand. Everyone
Right.
knows Obama.
Right.
Trended, in possibly
All over the world,
yeah,
yeah.
over the world.
Yeah.
When we went to Ethiopia, zero tweets, zero trend.
It's a
Well,
close
how you call
society.
that's there's a different sort of thinking in Ethiopia. Just allow them, because in all the freedom that we're enjoying in Kenya, look at the corruption, look at all the problems that we have. But anyway, why Ethiopia is important for us is it is the only practical neighbor we can work with who actually can support us. If you were to do anything in South Sudan, you'd imagine it's a sick baby you're carrying on the back.
Paul,
I will think that for Ethiopia here, the biggest benefit for us here to look at is the LAPSET project. The LAPSET project really relies on Ethiopia big time. And I know after we lost the Uganda deal, we started saying we are going to go it alone to do the pipeline, for instance. We're already doing a feasibility study, and we have actually, we expect at the end of the year to start hitting the ground with construction. So when you have Ethiopia on board, you have such a strong partner to be able to be confident enough that you can actually pull through this project. So I think that's what we are looking at.
Why didn't we go that way? Then
In the
why are we
beginning.
doing it now?
A strong partner.
We were there. We launched
Also,
build plans.
you have, you are down. You can't be left down forever. You are
beggars
lost.
cannot do that.
Yeah, now you have to check. Diplomacy is in terms of what you get from this partner. You lose it, you have to stand up and turn the other direction. So, why are we trading with China today as heavily as we do, or India? Because sometimes some conditions that were put on us from the other markets, we had to look for an easier target. So look, Ethiopia has come on board, and I think this is also a thing that the other neighbors will be looking at. Say, okay, fine. If we are so hard on Kenya, probably Kenya might just decide to go
India Prime
Ethiopia.
Minister Modi is coming next month.
Yeah. So.
And
Yeah.
so
So more deals for us.
Well, there will be more
are we
deals, yes,
jilted
but,
lovers?
I'm just trying to think. Ethiopia, really, there's not much Kenya has to offer, because they have a shorter distance to the port through Djibouti, and they will very easily mend the broken or
what do they need from Kenya?
I think we have a more pressing problem back at home.
Which is?
The wife swapping agreement between two men in Kakamega is now a subject of laughter and yes, concern. Susan Juma, 21, has vowed never to return to her 26-year-old husband, Patrick Mangala, who donated her to another man after learning she was having an affair with that man. Patrick, in turn, took her friend's wife, but he has realized he needs his wife, Susan, back.
This is a serious issue.
There they are. You know what? I hope we can get those pictures, from the Super Bowl. But I think it's much more important than the Ethiopia-Kenya deal. This is very serious.
This is a serious issue, and this is a man who tried.
peculiarly Kenyan.
I understand they signed some level of contract and agreement, and went even to a chief and said, okay, you can have my wife.
This man was saying, instead of you doing it behind my back, I'll give you my wife. Let's sign it before a chief. But after some time, I need my wife back. The wife has gone there. She's saying, I'm not coming.
But I'm just wondering, how much was after some time? Was it open-ended or subject to negotiation?
These contracts, there was always some grey areas in every contract. I think that's what the other man exploited.
It was 3 months. I think he was expecting something here. He was expecting that, look, now that you have, maybe a week or two, you'll get tired and
come back.
me back.
And it's
But
not
then,
happening.
the wife has realized.
Susan is saying, I'm not coming back.
She's not coming back. Yeah, actually, there are those situations whereby grass is actually greener on the other side. He said, I can't leave this. But these are very serious issues. I think the gentleman made a mistake. He may not want to do this again.
Then he says there's some grey area in the contract that has been exploited by the other man.
Yep.
I have no words for this.
Well, I think that's the story of the year so far. And
But this happens in Western. There
Well, I
is
think-
always some good thing, James, happening. There's always something. Either someone is running with the TV set on his head,
or hanging on
there's
a
a
door
door somewhere, someone hanging on. It's a good time to be.
I will not comment on this.
You can answer on behalf of
I will not
people.
comment, but Western is a good place to be. There's all this love that's happening. Remember, it's only in Western that the other day we had a very beautiful, wedding where an Indian had to.
Kabisa.
Yeah.
But she had to go.
That was by force,
contract,
but
I think.
it
The
was
contract ran
it was also another grey area.
Well, I think perhaps on Twitter poll should have asked if Susan should go back to on Twitter poll, we asked you if you think that ESCC is a complete and a total waste of your money and taxes, and 90% of you who interacted with that tweet think absolutely, completely, utterly yes. Let's end it there for news sources. Dennis Onsarigo, my co-host, and Fula Fula, MM. You happy to take that name?
so very much.
My DVD?
Brilliant.
Asante.